This is the entire world, presented in its flat and extended form. Here, one can observe all the continents, arranged in a circular formation, surrounded by water at a consistent level, flowing between them, which would represent the oceans, exactly as they are in reality. This type of projection is still widely used in air navigation, particularly for the planning of long-distance routes. In fact, many aviation maps, both old and modern, position the North Pole at their center, and it's the very same one that many today recognize as the flat Earth map, or its true form. We can observe that in the northern or central part of the world, there stands an obelisk, and on its summit, it features a small sphere which might symbolize the North Star, also known as Polaris, a celestial body that remains stationary throughout the entire year at this specific location. Furthermore, it would also serve as the world's axis, given that all celestial bodies appear to revolve around this particular star. And, resting in perfect balance on this sphere, we find an Australian brolga, a bird that can symbolize balance and connection between Earth and sky. Again, it reinforces the mystery of what's hidden in that region of the world. And where is this map located? It's in Darling Park, in the financial heart of Sydney. It's a corporate complex, with work areas and cafeterias. Upon entering the premises from the main building's entrance, we can clearly see, at the far end of the spacious lobby, a world map that shares the very same distinctive shape. This brightly illuminated map is prominently displayed upon a wall, featuring intricate lines, various time zones, and the entire Earth itself ingeniously converted into a functional clock. This is no ordinary decorative piece, it is a masterful blend of detailed cartography, the essence of time and crucial orientation, all seamlessly interwoven. And if we look up, within this grand hall, we'll discover a magnificent dome completely adorned with constellations depicted in the ancient style, with tiny points of light that clearly mark the stars. There are the constellations of the zodiac, those that the sun travels through during the course of the year, the very same ones navigators have relied on for centuries. It is the sky as viewed from that particular part of the plane, just as it is observed in Australia, the entire world and the firmament, as if this very building sought to represent the vast universe. Upon opening this door, we step into the garden, this very special garden situated between the towers, and in its center you'll find the fountain and a map of the world. At the bottom of the obelisk you will find a plaque commemorating the official inauguration of the garden at Darling Park on September 17, 1999. Seeing all this makes us wonder, why would a financial center install a flat world map, a terrestrial clock, and a sky complete with constellations? All of this is cosmology. Surely the owners and creators of this place know something about it.
We've all heard of Apollo 11 and the moon landing, but have you ever heard of Apollo 1? Now this story is honestly a little bit traumatizing. So 3 astronauts were supposed to just test the ability for this rocket to go into low Earth orbit. And all they were doing when this incident happened was they were going into the rocket and just testing some procedures. They weren't actually going into low Earth orbit yet. Well, here's what happened when they got in that rocket. They all burned alive. The rocket exploded and everyone in it died. But what's really odd about this was supposedly it was from a faulty wire, and then the spark ignited something and then everything engulfed in flames. But the chamber that the 3 astronauts were in was filled with virtually 100% oxygen, and we all know oxygen is flammable. So why was it filled with so much oxygen? Why were the astronaut suits so flammable? Why was everything in that ship so easily flammable? Well, there are rumors that the 3 astronauts knew a little bit too much. They knew that you couldn't actually go to outer space and that the moon landing would be a total failure. So of course, because of these astronauts expressing these opinions, the good old United States government had to take care of them accordingly.
Well, there you go, folks. The circular flat Earth, still and unmoving, perfectly level. Sundial, it is exactly 1 minute to 3 o'clock, and that's, wow. Our sundial is telling us exactly the same thing. Earth does not move when the sun moves. Just as always, the ancients knew this. It's how they built the clocks, and until the 19th century, we still set our mechanical clocks by using the sundial to verify it. Pointed north, 3 o'clock straight up. Earth is flat, people.
Can you guys admit that the Earth is flat or not? Do you know the Earth is a flat or is it a ball?
It definitely is flat.
Flat, absolutely, isn't it, mate? We like about everything, don't we? Thank you very much. Yeah, you can see. Thank you very much. Cheers, thank you.
The moon landing is fake and I can prove it. First piece of evidence speaks for itself. I'm not even going to comment on it. This is Apollo 11 taking off of the moon.
On ignition. Right away, Houston. Vector good.
Next up, we have NASA admitting that they lost the original footage to the moon landing, so there's no way to see it if it's real or not. The most important recording in all of history got lost. And there's the argument, why have we not been back to the moon? To that, all the naysayers say, oh, well, it just costs so much money and we just have different political focuses now. No. NASA themselves have admitted that they cannot get back to the moon. Look it up. Well, why can't they get back to the moon? Oh, because guess what? They didn't just lose the original footage of the moon. They also lost all the information about how they got to the moon. I quote verbatim, we no longer have the technology. End quote. And if you have even 2 brain cells, no matter how teeny tiny, I think that you can piece together it makes no sense that technology has gone forward and that's the only thing that's gone backwards. You were lucky if you could make a phone call to a neighboring state. If you use a 3rd brain cell, you can even see how wild it is that they called from the moon with no static and no delay. This is just the tip of the iceberg and I'm so passionate about this.
So you guys understand what the problem is with this picture on the moon, right? You get it, right? That what we're looking at right now just wouldn't even be possible. With only one light source, the sun, your shadows cannot go in different directions. One shadow is clearly pointing this way, and the other shadow is clearly pointing that way. Now, minus all of the other more than sufficient evidence that's been put out proving that we didn't go to the moon, this is really all the proof that you would ever need. And this is just one of the many things that they got completely wrong when attempting to lie to us all about this. Now, look at this one. You see how the flag's shadow is pointing this way, and his shadow is pointing in the opposite direction? And we don't even have to talk about the waving flag. And the main reason why you still choose to believe that we went to the moon is because the lie has been going on for so long that it's too hard for you to accept the fact that you've been fooled. And any question that you could still possibly have has been answered at this point. How did they get the Russians and the Chinese to go along with our lie? Because they all work together to keep the truth hidden. They're all in on the same lie. That's why the Russians never called us out on it. And oh, how could they get thousands of people to all keep the secret and never spill the truth? It's called compartmentalization. You think the top-ranking generals are giving information about what the next move is to the foot soldiers? No, the foot soldiers who are at the bottom have no idea what's going on at the top. They don't ask questions and they just go about their one simple
Okay, so I have a question for those of you who think the Earth is a ball and the Earth is rotating a gazillion miles per hour. Why is this happening? I don't know if you can tell, but the clouds are moving. My question is, why aren't the trees moving if the Earth is spinning? Why would the trees be still and the clouds be moving? I don't understand why the trees are not moving. But as you can tell, the clouds are slowly moving.
Here's some weird guys like on an island. They look like they're giants. Here's the North Pole, and it doesn't seem to be very populated. I can't tell. But that is due north. And here's a bunch of ships that look like Viking ships. They have the red crosses and the stripes, and they're all in a row. Not sure why. And this is Antarctica. Surrounds all this, and it's populated. And these are, someone said, these are the kings that rule the lands. I'm not sure if they inside the ice wall or outside of it, but they're all wearing turbans. So I guess they're Muslim or some sort of Indian. Here's an angel guy. I'm not sure what his role is. Does he watch over the world? And check out this lobster. Bigger than the ships. Who'd want to pull that thing up out of the water? Here's a merman. Here's some more of those fish that spit water. They look pretty vicious, and they look pretty big. I've seen other paintings with them being captured by people. And this is Africa up above, and I put this in because notice that it's all underwater. So all the desert was underwater. Here's America, and it's kind of divided up. I'm not sure what these little trees mean. And look at the island where Hawaii would be off California. That is huge, not just some little ones. And here we have more ships. There's that island. And I also wanted you to notice how close Russia is to America. Like you could practically, maybe they had a bridge across it. So this land was all one and pretty populated. And if Antarctica had no ice wall, when did this ice wall come about? That's the question.
Okay, so hear me out. Here in Genesis, they clearly are telling you what light is and where it comes from. However, mainstream science admits that they don't know what light is, but they know how it behaves. They can describe it with mathematics and experiments, but they do not know what the ultimate fundamental nature and where it comes from itself. But right down here it says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide it from day and night, and let them be for lights. Let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. And God made the stars also. This last part. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. That means not only are the sun, the moon, and the stars placed in the firmament, as it says right here, in the firmament, but the light that we are seeing from the sun, the moon, and the stars is actually coming from heaven itself. That's why they can't tell us about the light, because they can't get there. See? Do we know what light is? Yes or no? No. We know extremely well how light behaves and can describe it with precise mathematics and experiments, but we do not know its ultimate fundamental nature or what it is in itself, because you can't get to the actual source of it unless you actually die and make it to heaven. Light comes from heaven itself. So every day when you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, that is heaven's light literally shining on us.
Flat horizon everywhere.
saw the boat come back. We saw the boat come back again. We saw the boat come back again. Turn off the bass, turn off the treble. Let me hear you say that it's flat and level. Turn off the bass, turn off the treble. Let me hear you say that it's flat and level. Turn off the bass, turn off the treble. Let me hear you say that it's flat and level. Let me hear you say. Let me hear you say that it's flat and level. Turn off the bass, turn off the treble. Let me hear you say that it's flat and level. Turn off the bass, turn off the treble. Let me hear you say that it's flat and level. Let me hear you say, let me hear you say, let me hear you say that it's flat and level. Let me hear you say, let me hear you say, let me hear you say that it's flat and flat horizons everywhere.
The flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.